Okay, so if I want to do this, we're going to need a game state. So gameState.js. Let's add this in here. So an index, gameState.js. All right, class gameState. We'll have our constructor. And so here's where we get to put in all the things that we know that the game state needs for us to run. So we're pretty much only checking this like in the beginning here. So let's go through and like see what we need to care about. The player, like not the obstacles. The game like is running. So this dot is running, and we can initialize this to true. So if I do that, this goes away. Like we're gone with that. Now, of course, if I do that, I need to replace it. So let's do let game state, and we'll initialize it right here. So game state equals new game state. Okay, we have our world. The game state, I don't know if it needs to keep track of the world, but maybe it does. Like maybe we can just add in the world to here, or maybe this happens in the world. Like the state of the game keeps track of the world. And so if I do that, that would be really interesting because I could just remove you. And we can just say, okay, this dot world equals new world, like that. Cool, don't do that. Okay, so we have our game state. That's also gonna be tracking our world. Is there anything else that we need to care? Well, it's like the very state of things. Like we can hold like the player and the gravity can all be part of the state. Yeah, because like the state isn't just for states that change. It's like holding the entire state of the game. So now we can hold the player and the gravity in here too. Now we can take in the player when we create the constructor, or we can just have it be created in here. This will clean up our main game, and our game state would like hold all of that essentially. So if I do, let's see, create canvas, so create player. We take you out. I'll do this dot player, and we create a new player. And jump over obstacle event. So it needs access to this jump over obstacle event here. Now I know it could be a global because it's like registered up here. But do we need to even like have this be global here anymore? Or is our game state gonna keep track of this? And we say, okay, well, let's first initialize this jump over obstacle event. So I const this, and then we pass it in there. Gravity can also go in here. Which means gravity doesn't need to go in here anymore. We're going to be able to access it off of this main game state. Now, I may do this entire thing and find out that this abstraction is just too big, and therefore useless to us, we'll see. I mean, that's why it's learning before work. Okay, so then we create our 2 obstacles. So we can store our obstacles in here as well. And we're storing these in an array. So we're going to do this dot obstacles equals an array, and then we're going to this dot obstacles dot push our 2 new obstacles along with this jump over obstacle event, and then we initialize game speed. So what's happening here? Oh, so this is just saying our run speed create vector. So this is like setting this. Now we can put that. We can put this function in here. We can now say, okay, we have initialize game speed, and that sets this dot run speed to, okay, this vector like that. And so we're going to do this dot initialize game speed. And so now all we're doing in setup is just setting up our initial game state. It's cleaning up the main game here. However, all we did was moved a bunch of the complexity over to game state. So we haven't really gained anything as far as I can tell. What we're really doing this for is that we gain the ability to have game state do notification type stuff. That's all we're really doing here. Then we come to draw, and also I think we haven't needed to remove anything else yet. Oh, player, yeah. So player and the obstacles, got rid of that. Our run speed, got rid of that. Game running, we got rid of that. Input handler, we haven't done anything with yet. And world, we've gotten rid of that. And of course, game state. So these are now the 2 globals that we have. Okay, so in draw, input handler is rebinding. Okay. This is one thing we're going to want to eventually put over into the game state. Are we in this rebinding mode? I'm not going to touch that right now. I'm in the refactor for game state. So I'm gonna leave this as is. And then we're going to refactor that once we get the notification system going. Commands. Okay, so we get the commands, input handler, handle input. And here is, we can do a getter. So I think it's called just get, and then we're going to be game running. And we're going to return this dot is running. Now getters are really, really kind of cool in classes here. We're going to do gameState dot game running. That name doesn't make sense. Let's just do running. And that should just work. We don't need the parentheses here because it's a getter. Then we loop through each command and we run the command. So we need the player for this. So we need a getter for the player. GameState.player. Okay, so that's our input handler here. If the game is running, So this is the same thing. So if gameState dot running and the input handler is rebinding is false. So if we're not rebinding, clear, then we need to tell the world to run. So here we can have the game state, we can have a get for the world. Get world. Or I can just reach directly in. It might, I mean, it would be nice to be able to say like, hey, this is, the nice thing about like this, using the interface like this is read only. Although it, like there's mutations that can happen if I return an object, but that's what these are. So this dot world. So now I can do game state dot world, and then we just run off of that. Set the alpha to 255. Fill have the rectangle. Oh, that's the floor. I don't think we really need to care about having the floor anymore, but all right, so player, we need to render the player. So this is gameState.player.render. Then we're going to update the player. GameState.player.update. GameState.player.apply the force. And pass it in the gravity. So this is, now we need to get the gravity. Now I'm not necessarily trying to improve anything here. I just want to like do that first. Okay, we moved a bunch of stuff over into GameState. Let's now get it working. And then we can like potentially move some of this other stuff, maybe into GameState, maybe into like probably into GameState, like maybe methods on it. If we remember the Rust and GGEZ system, we have our main GameState, and then we have those update and run functions off of GameState. So here is gravity, and so this is just going to be GameState.gravity. Back to player again. So GameState.player .hit ground. This height is like the global height of the entire arena. Okay, so then we have obstacles. The obstacles are part of the game state. So let's get a getter for them. Okay, so dot obstacles, and for each, we get a single obstacle. We call its render method. We call its update method, and then we have our run speed, which is off of game state. And we don't have a lens for that yet. And GameState.player. So if the player is hitting the obstacle, now this is where we're going to set game running to be false. And so we have this getter. We want a setter for this too. So set running. And this is going to be the new one. So like basically the new state. And we're going to say this dot is running equals new state. And the way this works is we'll do game state dot running equals false. Like we don't call it like a function. We just reset it like this. But that's what the set is doing. Just like the getter, we don't need the parentheses. Same thing here for the setter. Okay, so that's through this section. Our run speed is now decrementing. So again, I'm not trying to like move anything. Oh, the stream froze. My internet is still working. I have no drop frames. Still at 60 frames per second. My OBS claims to be working. Maybe restart browser. Is it working for everyone else? Okay, so then we're gonna have this set for run speed. And I'm thinking that we're gonna be able to have like move a lot of this into the game state, like the logic for this as well. But as I said, I don't want to do that right now. I just want to sort of get it working exactly as it is, and then we can refactor to be a little bit better. So this could be new run speed. This dot run speed equals new run speed. Okay, it's your computer power. Ooh. Yeah, sometimes when computers get low on power, they turn off like essential things. So our game state dot run speed. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so new dot x is this new run speed. Now here's where you can make this maybe slightly improved. We're gonna say equals so this dot game state dot run speed dot x minus 0.1. I think that's what it was. Okay, else if the game running, so if we're not running, so this is game state dot running. So if this is now false, text size 30, we create the game over text, we write that to the screen. This is all just UI stuff. Okay, and then we have the player score. This is going to be the game state.player.score. The input handler keybinds jump key code. That's fine, and input handler is fine. And with this function create tree, which is like completely empty, so I don't see it being run anywhere. Key pressed. Okay, so that's input handler still. Generate commands. So we have jump, takes an actor jump, restart game. Game running equals true. Okay, so this is going to be game state dot running. Set that equal to true. Game state dot player dot, so reset the player. And then game state dot obstacles, so loop through all the obstacles, initialize them, and then initialize game speed, which is off of here. So game state dot initialize game speed. All right, let's see if this magically works or if I have tons of errors. It's a bit hard to believe that it's going to magically work. Yeah, just like immediately off the bat. Setting getter only property player. So that's gameState line 4. This player equals new player. Oh, right, because I called it like the getter is the player. And then I can't necessarily like do this. It's confusing it. So, I mean, I guess I could call this like current player. Or maybe you should be player and we should rename you. So this is like I don't know. I'll just call it like current player for right now. And then that way when we get this will be current player. There's nowhere else we're using player for this to save. Okay, same thing for the obstacles. Over here, I wonder if I want, now that I think about it, let's make this player and let's change this to get player. And this one to get obstacles. And if we come back over here to our game, so it's wherever we're doing gameState.player. This needs to be updated to gameState.get player. And then it's going to be the same thing for the obstacles. So wherever we have obstacles in here, get obstacles. All right, just keep on going through. Okay, we did it for gravity. So this is going to be get gravity. There's our gravity. World. So get world. Too much recursion. Okay, that's a lovely one. GameState line 44. So interesting. It's one would think that it would be the exact same error. So I want to get the run speed. So let's see, gameState. Oh, right, because we have a setter and a getter for run speed. So I think, are these the only 3 places? I think so. So in here, we're going to have get run speed, and then this is going to be set run speed. So set run speed with new run speed for that. I think my timer was wrong. However, the game is working. So my refactor was successful. Now we still have a little bit more to do. So if I come over to our README, we've created the game state, but what we now want to do is move things into game state that makes sense. And then we can have the rest of these notifications. Well, anyways, thank you everybody for coming by. Let me go ahead and push these changes up, close all these down so I can make sure they're all saved. And we'll just say work in progress, refactoring to have a game state. Stage these, push on up. I have all the code is in the repo that's linked right there. Push successfully to origin. All right, perfect. All right, with that, thank you so much for everybody for stopping by. I hope that you have a great Wednesday, and I plan on streaming again tomorrow morning before work. We'll continue on this. If I do end up streaming outside of those times, I'll tweet out, so follow me here on Twitch, follow me on Twitter for those notifications. And with that, I hope that you have a great day, and I will see you next time.